Good morning, friends. Welcome to Word of God, OBE Journal 2019, number 12. I'm on Stephen Greer's email list, as are many thousands of others. And his agenda is making contact, as well as uncovering all the decades-long secrets that the government's been keeping about their relationship to the visitors and the visitors' relationship to our planet and the history thereof. Recently, as he works on his new film and crowdfunding for it, been getting, you get regular emails about the Global Peace Initiative and making contact, either individually or in groups, with the visitors. And all his efforts seem to reference going out in nature at night. Various either sacred spots, or spots that are considered sacred by some, or mountainous areas, hilly areas. It's almost this feeling of being close to the sky and being able to, look up and make visual contact and hopefully record it on still cameras or video cameras. And they've had quite a bit of success with this. I'm not disputing it in any way. And since I do everything, and you join me at home on your computers, or maybe you look at it on your phones later, I'm not sure. I felt like there could easily be a parallel project. I'm certainly not about to, those of us who are still working 5 days a week, go out to some remote spot, even if it's only 30 miles away. I do live in a big city. And to get the dark sky and this sensation of being out in nature with our visitors, or having them flip by in their vehicles and manifest in one way or another. So this has occurred to me several times recently, in the last a few months. And we did talk to some visitors on yesterday's meditation. They chose to show up in a very traditional craft in the astral plane, I might add, not on the physical plane. But and maybe we'll do something like that again tonight, I'm not sure. But it occurs to me that that's a worthy project to pursue. And over and above Stephen Greer's and his group's efforts, which are very commendable and have been going on for many, many years. He's a man of singular vision. And I congratulate him for his determination and his sincerity. There have been many other cases where people feel like they've made contact on their own. Of course, all the abductees and the contactees, and don't feel like they're part of any bigger wave. But sometimes that sense of not being a part of something bigger is a diminution of consciousness, focusing on what one person is doing or is being done to them. And it's hard for them to step outside and see the bigger picture. For me, it's all about realizing sentience is spread throughout the universe. and I've hinted at this before, dropped rather big hints, and as we explore our consciousness and expand it beyond the ego-dominated locality where we are the important one and everything around us is there to serve us, and mostly it's considered, after our indoctrination by science, most of it's considered inorganic, dead, non-sentient matter. So that, of course, feeds this sense of being the ego that's in charge. This isolationist ego looking out at the alien universe, when in fact we are part and parcel of the whole thing. We're no more alive than anything else. And I go right down to the submolecular structure when I talk about that. But for me, it's, to get back to my earlier point, it's all about embracing all forms of sentient life, whether it be elementals, angels, fairies, devas, animals, mammals, fish, birds, etc., etc., trees, plants, flowers. People have been communicating with all these spiritual entities in form forever. But with the freeing up of publications and distributions, you can much more easily find out how other people are doing on these matters. Terence McKenna has long, thank God for all his videos on YouTube, been a fan of the mushroom as an intergalactic species that goes throughout the universe without pause or constraint and can be communicated with. I wouldn't say that he put psilocybin as a god, but it's certainly a breathing, sentient entity with much intelligence to impart. So, along with Stephen Greer's wave of advancing intelligence and peaceful communication, I see our consciousness expanding on all those other levels too. That as we talk to alien entities, we will also talk to devas and tree spirits and fairy spirits and house elementals and all manner of being. David Spangler's recent books have been talking about the she, another form of elemental being that don't quite see themselves as fairies, but a distinct species. And we'll explore that in detail later, but I'm just studying up on that now. But I do see it as a broad wave of communication and exploration. And I sensed, it's about 4:30 in the morning. About an hour ago when I woke up, I sensed something was going to be going on. And of course I wasn't sure what. And I lay there trying to, focus on what it might be. So please join me as we explore. I'm moving up or projecting part of my consciousness, if you prefer, up skywards, the night sky over Toronto and Lake Ontario. There being, one beside the other, right where I am. I'm hovering there, waiting to see an emergence or an appearance or a wave of intelligent communication. The presence of a large vehicle, intergalactic vehicle, if I may call it that, has been made known to me. I'm not getting a clear shape. I am getting a presence up in the sky over Toronto. In, if not exactly physical space, then a vibration just on the edge of physical space. Certainly not astral plane like last night. We are in the sky over Toronto, yes. And I'm being invited to see the vehicle as I perceive it and not be constrained by other versions or my limited imagination. I'm being told that we can call them Arcturians from the area we have come to refer to as Arcturus. And that they are part of the gathering, as it was called the other night by William Gamble. The various groups, species that are passing by and visiting with us as we transcend our limitations and move to greater sort of levels of consciousness. The fifth dimension, as some people refer to it, where we are, are we omnipresent in space and time? This entity is saying to me, yes, you are. As are we, but we are here to help you be comfortable with being omnipresent in space and time. And we know it's a huge leap for you. And we're here to help in any way that we think is useful to you. Don't let our technology overwhelm you, I'm being told. It is what we need to make the journey and make it in comfort and intelligence, I guess is the other word I'm hearing. We are not here to take advantage or abuse you. We are not here to copulate or mate with you. We are here to observe and study, that is for sure. And we have been for a great long time. We are related, of course, as species often are. You come from us a long time ago, you chose to break off and accept the invitation to come to Earth and populate it with sentience and an advancing intelligence that would meet great challenge and struggle. You have entered time where we have not. We are not in the linear progression of history, as you might call it. We are outside of that. We did not choose that particular discipline. Whereas you brave souls of Earth did make that choice. And you are inevitably caught up in the webs of that choice. You are living the karmic results of your earlier lives on Earth, which, given the challenging nature of your physical reality, is inevitable. The conflicts that consumed you hundreds of years ago are having their reverberations now. Your Christian-Muslim competitiveness, for example, and the competitiveness between fellow Christians and fellow Muslims all goes back at least 1,000 years to your earlier crusades, when many of you were caught up in fighting for your vision of divinity and spirituality. This to give you but one example of how we look sadly and pityingly on the karmic complications of your regular appearances in linear history. This century, that century. This culture, that culture. This family, that family. These relationships, those relationships. It's all tied in a very complex and actually quite tidy knot. You are progressing, you are advancing, but within fairly tight parameters. The results of your earlier actions rein you in certain directions, fairly tight, strict directions, in that you have to resolve certain problems before you can move on to other more expansive issues. And of course, those of you who are feeling yourself moving on to these more expansive issues have resolved a good deal of your old karma in order to be able to do so. And he's saying, let me just be clear on that. When I say karma, I mean the results of your former actions. The inevitable results, the unavoidable results. Sowing harvests and reaping harvests. So I thank him for that introduction and careful explanation. And then I say, what can I offer you? Or what can we offer you, those that are with me? You can offer us your love, he says. You can offer us your friendship. You can offer us your willingness to collaborate in this great experiment in consciousness as we unfold together. Feeling myself moving slightly closer to this consciousness. Who seems to appear without form and with form simultaneously in my mind's eye. On the one level, you've got that swirling mass of pleasantly swirling, cloudy, lighted mass. Notice what my hand's doing here. That will not take a permanent solid form, and then a sort of more off to the right, sort of handsome humanoid figure, which I think is being manifested for my ease. Could manifest any number of ways. I'm sure it could be a turtle or a fish, although that wouldn't serve his purpose. When I say his, I'm not referring to gender. At least I don't think I am. I recognize that his sort of swirling mass of inner radiant mist, if you like, is a form that I, Gordon, can take at higher levels. And I do recognize this, and I've seen it elsewhere in my astral travels, as perhaps you have yourselves. This body of blood and bone and tissue and organ is but one of our vehicles. We recognize that, as do they, and they're glad that we do. Why do they take an interest in us, I ask, ultimately? And the answer I'm hearing is because we're related. You are from us, not exclusively from us. Some of you are from us. Some of you are from other galactic species, Pleiadians, for example. Lyrans. I'm just coming up with the names that I've read elsewhere, you know. Syrians. I often feel like I'm more Syrian than anything, but I don't believe it's important to sort of hammer it out. It's sort of like looking at my past incarnations on Earth and saying, well, I'm Scottish, I'm Dutch, I'm Egyptian, I'm whatever. They're all ethnic groupings that served their purpose in their time and place and helped advance the human project another couple of steps. I don't think one's any more significant than another. I'm an earth-based human, but only for the present phase of the plan. This is a large vehicle that I'm being given to envision, being shown around various areas of it. It's big, extensive corridors, seating areas, rooms off to the side, rest areas where people are relaxing, or people that appear to be humanoid in their, basic look. And nobody's really paying any attention to me. Someone's guiding me along, but nobody's pointing and go, oh, look, there's one of those humans. No, that's not going on. One hesitates to say the employees of a large corporation on coffee break, but sometimes it's what it looks like. They seem very at ease. They seem like intelligent beings taking a short rest from their labors, although labor seems like a bit of a labored word. I'm being told, yes, we conduct all kinds of experiments on all levels of your planet to do with all sorts of things. Chemicals, molecular structures, submolecular structures, tissue that makes up your bodies, brain matter, he's calling it. And what are they taking little bits of our brains? No, we examine them by laser, he's saying. We don't take little bits. We don't need to take little bits. We can see what we're doing. And this is all to help advance us? Well, yes. We're trying to make your brains more efficient. We're trying to open up, just like your own researchers on Earth. Map the brain very carefully. Map the human brain. Your consciousness, of course, is above and beyond the brain that helps translate its signals into understandable experiences and concepts. We cannot really work on your consciousness. Only you can do that. You have got the historical limitations on your consciousness that have been very carefully provided by religious and political systems that tell you this is your definition, that is your definition, this is your limit, that is your limit, this is your behavior pattern, that is your behavior pattern, this is what's acceptable, this is what isn't. You are liberating yourselves from all this. That is why you are here. But we are here to assist you with that in any way we can. But it's you that is the ultimate controller of that, not us. If you feel that other visitor groups are controlling your consciousness, then you are giving up your sovereignty. They are not. You are allowing them to do it. The question is, why are you allowing them to do it? If they feed you illusions in which you can enact activity that is a fantasy that doesn't actually happen, that they play games with your head, as you say on Earth, then it's because on some level you're giving up your sovereignty to them. You're allowing them to be the magicians that manipulate you. And there's no need for that. But it is a tradition in your earthly culture to allow perceived superior beings to manipulate you with their ritual magics and their power games, using you as their little servants and slaves to sustain their perceived status and ability to just rule the roost. whether it's an ancient priesthood in some culture thousands of years ago, or a modern corporation controlling you with their finances. It's these habits, these long inculcated habits on earth that allow you to be manipulated by some alien groups, not us. We're not here to manipulate you. We're here to help. And as I say that, this is this same being communicating, I understand that some of you on the what we would call the paranoid fringe think that our helping is manipulating, that it is one and the same. That we justify our manipulation by calling it help. Now that is an interesting, challenging philosophical conundrum. Is it all about perception? Is manipulation help? Is help manipulation? We often debate that amongst ourselves. Is it possible to interact with another species without bringing your superior intelligence and consciousness to somehow manipulate them in a direction that you feel is good and useful and purposeful? Certainly all your religions and political systems and economic systems would be embroiled in the same challenge. They would feel that you need to be manipulated, you need to be guided, you need to be told what to do for the so-called smooth functioning of society. They feel like kindly overseers. They feel like good shepherds to themselves. All shepherds of all flocks feel that they are good shepherds. And you might include us Arcturians in that too. And he says, and I speak for myself as a communicator, as part of my species, that it feels like an irresolvable dilemma, contradiction. We cannot help without manipulation. We cannot manipulate without help. Then obviously there's much going on in this ship that I, do not know. If you wander down a corridor past auditoriums and lecture halls in a university, you don't know what's going on in each room. Obviously, intelligent activity and discussion and exploration and the learning of lessons. It's all going on. Experimentation, the compiling of reports and studies. That's all going on here. But who am I to either question or analyze it? It is activity. It is the activity of consciousness in form. This is Gordon talking here. And all beings have that and explore that each on their own level. Fairies working in your garden, whether they know it or not, long to move up the ladder of evolution and become devas and look after larger and larger areas of nature, as we call it. Children seek to advance through school and go to university. people enter corporations and churches and military forces in order to advance their status and understanding, in order to understand more about the world as it is presented to them. And of course, as they all go on in their various fields, they find out the world as it was presented to them is highly opinionated, highly colored by those who went before, by those who subscribed to the agendas of the corporations or the religions or the political systems. Those who see friends and enemies and challenges and conflicts. That's all been laid out. And as a young corporate member, a young soldier, a young priest, a young nun, a young service worker, a young anything, you absorb those illusory agendas and you work through them one by one as you go through your physical life and reject the various carefully colored illusions that have been presented to you, realizing that cutthroat competition, enemies, lack of profits, lack of status. You realize that these are not enemies. These are your friends. These are not to be chased away aggressively. These are to be embraced and accepted. Just as we alien visitors, or they alien visitors, I forget who's talking here, are to be embraced and accepted. Other life forms are here to be with us, to join us in the celebration of life and evolution and greater forms of consciousness. We join you, he's saying to me now, pretty sure it's him, in looking out at the universe, the vibrating, sentient universe, says the stars and planets, the black holes, the wormholes, all the marvelous vista of creation that extends forever. Celebrate it. It is there to be embraced and explored, away from your local conflicts and challenges. There are many ways to leave home and go on a journey. What we are encouraging you to do is explore another avenue. Explore it freely and even carelessly, if you like. You are, when you do this, out of body. You do not have a physical body that can be crushed or broken or starved or otherwise maligned. You are in spirit. Much more can be risked, if you like, because the damage is not possible. Come with us in your dreams, in your fantasies, in your projections. Come on this ship, wander around anytime you like. Some of you do this already in your dreams, in your unconscious projections. We encourage you to do it more. There's plenty of space up here. It's not crowded. This vehicle is much bigger than any of your airlines. Much, much bigger. There's no cramped seating here. Call it a university of the air. You've heard of these giant triangular ships. It's a staple in UFO lore. They exist, and we're in one of them now. Although it doesn't have to be triangular. We have fabricated such on our home planets long before coming here. These ships are, in themselves, sentient beings. They respond to thought and emotion and wishes of the individual and the group. We are pursuing this approach to you as other researchers have communicated to you, because engaging politically with your sovereign nation states has proved to be an unworthy challenge to us. They do not wish to reveal themselves as being in communication with us. And we feel that you as individuals are much more open than the states you are part of. Many of you are open to these experiences, and we are glad for that. And we will continue to work with you in any way that you feel you would like to explore. Cast your plans and enact them in what you would call your imagination, your projective abilities, your desire to learn more about who you are and where you come from and where we're all going. Thank you, thank you. I realize our time is almost up, and I thank the Arcturians as they have represented themselves to us, to me, to you, to us. And I thank Stephen Greer for giving me the idea in the first place. At least I think it was him. All these contact explorations are worthy and worthy of your attention. Now, that's not to say talking to your departed loved ones is not important. It is. By all means, keep chatting away. You need to know that they're fine, or mostly fine, and happy to hear from you. We need to give up on our grief and suffering and embrace our joy. Embrace our serenity and acceptance and love for one another. And with that inspiring message, I shall leave you until next time.